everybody. My name's Miss Stewart. I'm going to be your camp counselor here at Camp Read-A-Lot. Today, we're going to read a story called Rosie Revere, Engineer, and she does all kinds of crazy inventions. Today, we might get to make our own. Let's go have some fun. All right, kids. Today, we're going to read Rosie Revere, Engineer. The author is Andrea Beatty. Does anybody know what the author does? What's the author's job? Yes, you're exactly right. The author writes the story. We have an illustrator. His name is David Roberts. Does anybody know what an illustrator does? You're right too. They draw the pictures. All right, let's get started on this story. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic in the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. I wonder why she wants to hide all of her inventions. You think maybe she doesn't think they're going to work? You might be right. Let's keep reading and find out. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. Look at his pants. They're all filled with helium. Helium is what makes balloons float. So they have filled these pants with helium and now he's floating off the ground. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. Do you think cheese spray would really keep snakes away? No, I don't think so either. Oh. Look, we see Zookeeper Fred right here, and look, he has a snake on his head, so he really does need that hat that she's inventing. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. Embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. That means that she doesn't feel very good about her invention because why? What did her uncle do? Yeah, he was laughing. Do you think he was laughing to be mean or to make fun of her? No, I don't think so either. Let's see. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, truly I do. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf and after that day kept her dreams to herself. So now she says she's going to keep her dreams to herself. So she's not going to share her inventions with anyone. All because her uncle laughed at her. But did he do it to be mean? No, you're right. He said he loved the invention, but she didn't understand it. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a day. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who'd worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. So what is her great-great-aunt Rose's dream? To fly. What do you think Rosie might do now? You think she's going to make something else? Design something else or engineer something else? Maybe so. Let's see. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." So she's thinking back to when the invention that she made for her uncle didn't work. And now she's kind of second-guessing herself, thinking maybe she really can't make something for her aunt to fly in. But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. So when morning came, she was ready to try again. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. So she's already expecting her invention not to work. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The hella cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. So did it work? No, it didn't work. How do you think she's going to feel about it? I think she might be sad too. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again. Why, I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." So she's really upset. Somebody else is laughing at her. But I still don't think her aunt is doing it to be mean. We're going to have to keep reading to find out. She turned round to leave, but then great-great-aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try." So was she doing it to be mean? No. What do you think Aunt Rose felt for Rosie? Yes, you're right. It said she was proud that she did it. She had a great first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt. "It crashed, that is true. But first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew." Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failures can come if you quit. So what do you think that great-great-aunt Rose was trying to teach Rosie? I think you're right. She's trying to teach her that it's okay if it doesn't work out the first time. Should she give up? No, she shouldn't give up. She needs to keep trying. Eventually it might work. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head. and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. So is Rosie thinking of being an engineer again? Yeah, she's thinking about it. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. So, what do you think Rosie was able to teach all the kids in her class based off the pictures and the words on this page? You think she taught them what her great aunt taught her? That it's okay to fail as long as you keep trying? Because it said that with each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer. So every time they fail, they're standing and cheering. They're happy because the first flop is over and now they can keep trying to build their creations again. So Rosie, up here in the corner, she is starting to help other people learn the lesson that she learned, which is to always keep trying, never give up on your dreams. So let's kind of review this for just a second. What was the very last thing that Rosie created? What was the very last invention, the big invention that she created at the end of the story? Anybody? You're right. She created a flying machine for her great-great Aunt Rose. So if we were going to pretend to be engineers, just like Rosie, do you think we can make a flying machine that could actually fly us into the air? No, probably not right now and not with the stuff that we have available to us in this classroom, but maybe we could create something that does fly and we can test it and see which could fly the farthest. You think? I think that's a great idea. So here is our challenge of an engineer today. We are going to create paper airplanes. We're going to create 2 of them. One of them is going to be made with regular paper. The second one is going to be made with cardstock paper. It's a little thicker and it keeps its shape when you fold it just a little bit better. We're going to make our paper airplanes, we're going to decorate them, and then we're going to fly them and see which one can fly the farthest. So we're going to be engineers and we're going to test out our planes just like Rosie Revere tested out her flying machine. All right, let's go. All right, guys, now we are going to be engineers and create our 2 paper airplanes. In this hand, I have my regular white paper. In this hand, I have my cardstock. We're going to make both airplanes exactly the same, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. So let's start with the regular paper first. The first thing I need to do is I need to take a corner and I need to fold it down, kind of like a puppy dog's ear. So just fold it a corner down just like that, and I want to go over that crease and make sure I get it nice and tight so when I let go of it, it doesn't flip back up. I'm going to do the same thing to this corner. I'm going to fold it down to match it to that one. Okay, just like that. So both corners are folded. Go over those creases, make sure they're nice and tight. Next step is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it together in half and make that crease at the bottom. Make sure it's tight. Go over it a bunch of times if you need to. Okay, so then this is what you have, and when you open it, it looks like that, but we want it closed, okay? So we got it closed. Now, is this a plane? Does it look like a plane? Is it gonna be able to fly? No. What did I forget? You're right, I forgot the wings. So I'm gonna take this side and I'm gonna fold it down just like that. So I have one side folded down and I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, both sides are folded down. Now I need to fold them out so that it'll be able to glide in the air, okay? So this is what our plane looks like. So this is the regular paper. Now let's do the cardstock. All right, now we have our cardstock paper. Like I said, it is a little bit thicker paper, so it's a little bit harder to work with. So we really have to make sure that we get those creases nice and tight on this one. So we're gonna build this one the exact same way as the regular paper. I'm gonna take a corner and fold it down like puppy dog ears. Go over that crease, make sure you get it nice and tight. There's our first corner. We're gonna do the same thing to the other corner. Go over those corners and those edges lots of times, guys. Okay, so there's our first step. Does anybody remember the second step? You're right, fold it in half. Okay. You gotta work with this one, guys. Like I said, it's a little bit harder to fold. See how I'm going over these creases a lot? I want to make sure they stay, because when it flies, I don't want it to come undone. All right, last step. It's the wings. All right, let's fold down those wings. Okay, there's the first side. Now let's do the other side. Okay, fold out those wings. Then we have our plane. Now let's get our regular paper one back, and we can see that they look exactly the same on all sides, okay? So now we know when we fly both of these, at least we're working with the same shape. Now we just have to see which one's gonna go farther, because it's made of regular paper and it's lighter, or thicker cardstock and it's heavier. So now it's time to decorate it. I'm gonna give you some time to decorate it. I can't wait to see what you come up with. All right, guys, as you can see, I decided to decorate the wings on mine, and I wrote my name on both of them. Now we have to test them and fly them and see which one goes farther. But before we do that, I want you to make a prediction. Do you think that the paper one is going to go farther, or the cardstock one is going to go farther? You think the cardstock? If I had to guess, I'm gonna go with cardstock too, just because it holds up a little better than the paper. But who knows? We don't know until we test it out. So I'm gonna stand right here in this spot, and I'm gonna fly them in that direction away from the lake. Let's see how far they go. Here's the cardstock one. Okay, that one went pretty far. Let's try the regular paper. That one didn't go far at all. I think the results are gonna shock you. You might have been right. Let's see if your prediction was right. All right, guys, as you can see, here's our cardstock plane. Here's our regular paper plane. So your guesses were right, guys. The cardstock one did go farther. Great predictions. All right, guys, let's do a little bit of a recap from our lesson today. So we read the story Rosie Revere, Engineer, and we learned exactly what it's like to be an engineer and make our own paper airplanes. Now, did the results come out perfect? Did they go super duper far? No, but does that mean we should give up? Goodness, no. Just like Rosie in the story, she learned that you always have to keep trying. So here's my challenge to you. I want you to keep making those paper airplanes. Design them in crazy, wacky, fun ways, and let me know how they turn out. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.